my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Egg Wars. Good to see ya. I'm sure I'm looking a little bit rough. It's midnight right now. I know this is kind of a weird time. Gosh, I tell you, I'm just so sorry. I'm always so caught up. I don't know what I want to talk about on Egg Wars, and I'm bedridden, and I'm on my meds, and so I'm kind of drowsy, and so there's all this kinds of shit going on. So I do apologize. It's going to be like 3 o'clock in the morning or something by the time this comes out, whatever the case might be. But I hope you're all doing well. Shout out to my three amigos. As always, shout out to my boy Arto. Shout out to my boy producer Chris. Shout out to my boy the Not So Casanova. And shout out to you for tuning in to another episode. I appreciate you being here. You're awesome. I love you. Couldn't do it without you. Alright, now that fact that it's in the middle of the night, I'm parched. Gotta crack this motherfucking sip, boy. Let's do it. Oh. Oh. Alright, now this is the last one of these that I have on hand. I'm gonna have to find some way to get to the fucking store tomorrow, which I'm sure I'll find a way, but let's see. We're gonna find out right now. Was it just a couple two? Is the formula changed? Let's see what the fuck's going on around here. It's still tasting different. So something's up. But we're going to leave that topic in the past. We're going to try to change the sips up this next time anyway. So it's not a big deal. But we'll leave it in the past for now. So, the main topic I want to get into today, when I was thinking to myself, I'm sitting around, I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, there's a lot of shit that you can talk about, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff out there to talk about. A lot of interesting topics that you can probably discuss, but I'm like, not everything, I kind of asked a couple people, and they're talking about, I'll talk about video games, talk about anime, stuff that they're interested in, but I'm like, shit, I'm just not, I don't consider myself to be, very good on conversating about things like that, because, there's so much to it, it's like, they're very complex topics, that I would like to give a complex view on, and not just little, very superficial smatterings. But when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about it like this. I was like, the way I'm trying to, the way I'm just fucking fiending for any little topic, reminds me when I was a kid, and we used to try, and, we were always trying to get inebriated somehow, and how we were always, I had this very, this, what's the word? Sort of this, desperate, hopeless thirsting. And so I was like, hey, well, you know what? Why don't I talk about my history with alcohol, going back since I was a youngster, my young days of, and up till the current day, because it's still something I very much, there's still some things I could apply this to in the current day, but we'll kind of let the topic go as it goes. So anyways, my history with alcohol. So we go back, I think the very first time that I ever consumed any part of an alcoholic beverage, I think I want to say I was, well, no, I was 11, yeah. I think I was a young, on the younger side of 11. Because by the time I was nearly 12, that's when I was drinking on my own. That's when I was going out and drinking on my own. So I was 11 years old, I think, when I had my first sip of beer, my first, at a family barbecue or whatever the hell it was. The first sanctioned sip of beer, just to give it a little try. And, of course, at the time, I thought it tasted fucking horrible. And, I mean, light beer, I'm not gonna say I haven't drank light beer since then, obviously, but, there's certain occasions where you're maybe at, a fucking, whatever, there's just times that I've still drank light beer every now and then since then, but not something I'm proud of. But that was my first thing, some first sip, and of course it just fucking was disgusting. It was rank, it was shitty piss water, and I was like, gross, that's disgusting. So, then, I don't think I had any other alcohol then for quite a while until later that year, because it was right before I turned 12. It was the first time I ever had my first cigarette and my first alcohol. Now, the first time I ever got drunk, it was fucking fantastic. It was hilarious. It was so much fun. I will never ever forget it because I was 11 years old, and there was a guy I went to school with. His parents were split, and we were at his mother's apartment. I don't know where the fuck she even was. I honestly don't. I don't remember because we were there, and we were fucking loud and raising hell, and she just like was not there. And he had a sister at the time, and she was a little bit older. She had to maybe, I'm trying to think how much older she was than us. She was maybe, if we were 11, she was maybe like a high school junior or high school senior. So I don't know where she was either, cause she lived there, until she was like, 19 or something like that. So she was around, but I don't remember I don't know where the fuck they were at, but we were there. We had stolen a couple cigarettes of his mother's that we smoked, and this is how we actually got busted for this whole thing. I mean, obviously we were probably doomed and totally gonna get fucked over anyway, because when you're 11 years old, and there's fucking, and there's nobody else around, and there's like empty alcohol containers appearing, and obviously very suspiciously acting kids. I'm sure that it was fucking obvious, but we smoked these cigarettes that we had taken in his it was like I'm trying to think. It wasn't like an apartment, but it was, I guess you could say maybe like God, I don't know what the hell you call it. I guess maybe like a duplex situation. But basically there was like this area where it was like sort of, I guess there was like little rentals of some sort. It wasn't like trailers. I don't know what the fuck you'd even call it. There was basically just like a property with like, 8 different people living on it, and so there was like a couple duplexes, a couple just like people renting a place. I don't know what the hell you even call it. It was weird. I still wouldn't even know what you call it, but there was just this little center. There was a little laundromat right by there for people to do their laundry. I don't know what the hell you even call it, but anyway. So we went, and there was like a shared garage of like his mother and whoever else lived. I think maybe it was with who else was in the duplex. We were in this garage and smoking cigarettes in there, and of course, once again, first cigarette ever, it was fucking horrible. It was like one little tiny, I could go, I mean, obviously I've smoked recently, but I could probably go some amount of time without a cigarette. If I went like, I don't know, I guess a good example would be when I was dating my ex-girlfriend. I went, like over a year without smoking, and even coming back to that cigarette, it wasn't no thing, but that first cigarette was just like the most awful, like, cause I mean, I think I'm on papers for having had asthma at the time. I don't think I still had it by then. But when I was growing up, I had kind of some bad asthma, but I don't think I had asthma at that point, but whatever the case was, it was very unpleasant. But, now the drinking though, on the other hand, we had only the very, very finest for the first time we ever got drunk. And this was still, like, this was my, this was like the fucking, what's the word? The ambrosia of the gods. Mike's Hard Lemonade. Mike's Hard Lemonade. We had, bottles. I feel like there was one time we did cans. I can't really exactly remember for sure, but I remember this time it was bottles. Bottles of Mike's Hard Lemonade. And we drank like a whole pack of it. There was like, whatever the case was. I guess what would that have been, 4 bottles? So it doesn't seem like much at all, you know what I mean? But for a kid, I think maybe if we drank like, not even 1 bottle each, we were still fucking hammered. Oh, those were the days. But I just remember we got so trashed. I was super, super, super trashed. And we were watching Garfield and Friends, the cartoon, on Toon Disney. That's what was on at like 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever the hell it was. Just hammered and watching motherfucking Garfield and Friends on Toon Disney, just having a hell of a time. Just going crazy, just going wild. We were just always thinking of ways to get fucked up, and that was like the first time that it sort of kind of came into our heads. But we got busted though, because like the next day, we were, I guess there was probably an alcohol smell, alcohol missing, cigarette smell, cigarettes missing and shit like that. And so probably one of the very only times I ever got in trouble because of this, like this dude's mom like, got a hold of my mom and was like, hey, your kid's smoking cigarettes and drinking at my fucking house, and he's 11 years old, and my mom can't pick me up, and she was, like, really mad at me. And ever since then, like, even now, it's weird, because, like, if I ever have, like, a cigarette, even now, like, I still, like, I was very ashamed at the time. Like, I can still, like, that was a very shameful car ride home. I was really ashamed because my mother, she was very, very just, like, really pissed off at me, and it wasn't great. Of course, I say that, and then I pretty much immediately went back to doing all the same shit again. Because I was a little hellraiser. But the next time then, it was this, I think the same dude, I believe I was hanging out with, because I like to go over to his house. He had internets, he had DSL internets. We had dial-up. I had dial-up internet until, like, the mid-2000s, like 2005 maybe. I think 2005 was when we first ditched the dial-up. But he had DSL internet since I was, like, 10 years old, so like, at school. And he was into gaming. He was into Unreal Tournament, and all the shit like that. So, I'd go over there. But the thing is, like, if I'd hang out with him, he just, he was kind of, he ended up getting into some more bad shit, as we got older, but at the time, he was kind of like on the cusp of like some gaming, some, just kid stuff, and like some, like one foot in like the kind of the gaming technology sphere, and then like one foot like in the street shit, cause, coming from like a broken home, no father in the household, that sort of thing. I mean, shit was just going on. But next time around, I went and seen this dude again, and but there was no more of that Mike's Hard Lemonade. There was Amber Bock beer, so it was like this dark, amber. I don't think it was dark beer, but it was no fucking piss water anyway, from what I recall. So we're there, and we're sitting there fiending around. We're hanging out. We're like, once the coast is clear, we're taking that fucking beer. We're popping the top off. We're gonna drink that. We're gonna get a buzz going. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be tight. All right, cool. And so, whatever the coast was clear, his mom was gone or asleep, whatever the hell was going on. And we snuck the beer, and we fucking popped the top on this beer, and we got the fucking beer. And we, each took a sip of this, and it was like, oh my god, this is fucking atrocious. This tastes like shit. This is harsh. This is not that tasty flavor of the Mike's Hard Lemonade. This has nothing. This is disgusting. This is awful. Fuck this shit. This is awful. And we didn't even drink like the whole thing. We each like tried to fucking drink this beer as much as we could, but it was just so atrocious. The flavor was just so awful to us that we just could not do it. We couldn't even drink the whole beer, so we ended up pouring some of it out. And then we're pissed off because we're like, oh, god damn it, And then his mom still, like, ended up, we tried to, like, fucking hide the beer bottle or whatever, but I'm pretty sure his mom still was like, obviously, a beer is missing, Things, when we were a kid, when you're younger, it just seems like so much more feasible that you're gonna be able to pull this shit off, You're gonna be able to just be like, oh, they won't notice this beer is missing. But then, like, once you're an adult, it's, like, totally obvious, like, yo, where the fuck is my beer? I mean, it's, like, obviously, you're not gonna be able to get away with that shit, so it's, like, I don't even know what we're thinking as kids. But, following that, Mike's was pretty much, like, it was anytime, we were gonna get, wasted, or, whatever, a little buzz, in any case, it would be, like, we'd be at school, whatever, and dude would be like, oh man, you know what? My mom, she's picked up some Mike's Hard, so I'm gonna try and, sneak one if you want to come over and we could, whatever. Cause that was just like, we knew that was good. We knew it had an effect. We knew that was up. That was the ticket, the key, that was like the sure thing at the time. But then, one time, I remember this, cause, we were a little bit older. We were probably more like late junior high, early high school. And so we, like, the dude, he was really getting into more like the street shit now. So it was like, we went over there. It wasn't as much to like hang out as it was to just kind of be like, just kind of, chilling. We never really had, I think maybe like a couple times we had some weed to smoke, maybe. It wasn't like that serious though. At least with this one guy though, anyway. But usually we'd go over there. There'd be some cigarettes from somewhere that we could smoke. And this one time we went over, and it was the first time I ever watched American History X. Also, I remember that because we were chilling. It was like late night, and we were just chilling watching American History X, and dude was just like, "Oh, hey, you know what? You know, we were teenagers, we were at least 13, but we didn't really care about being cool yet, you know." So the dude had Smirnoff ice coolers that he had from his mom. His mom had bought this fucking thing of like 20 Smirnoff ice coolers. It was like this big box. And he's like, "Oh man, this is what's up. This is the jam right here, dude. Yeah, you want to have some of this? You know, what's up?" So then we fucking were drinking these Smirnoff ice coolers. And, you know, by today's standards, you know, by my current standards, that would still be like, you know, what the fuck, pussy, little kid shit, you know. But at the time, it was still totally, I was like, that was the wave, you know what I mean? That was what was up. Oh, you know, it's like, oh, it's Smirnoff. That's like real liquor. Smirnoff makes vodka, so that's like this is like the real shit, you know? So we're fucking we'd be sitting out back and, drinking these Smirnoff ices and, you know, smoking cigarettes or whatever. And we thought we were just the most badass dudes ever. But, around this time also, cause this obviously still was not the most optimal thing to do because we still ended up getting busted for fucking stealing liquor and getting drunk, and, you know, the dude was getting threatened to get kicked out of his mom's place and shit like that, and it was just really messed up. So, we were browsing a site at the time, you know, and this is a site we had browsed when we were kids because we were always trying to figure out the next shit. So we browsed a site called Arrowid, which was like this drug online database. This was before Urban Dictionary was like around, but that wasn't, you know, that wasn't like a common thing. This was, you know, that you would know about really. This was like early mid 2000s. So we went on to Arrowid and we're like, "Yo man, we're trying to get high, dude. We're trying to get high, man. We're trying to get fucked up, man. You know, what's the ticket? What's the key?" So there was a few different things. And one of them, first off, was mint extract. Now, if you don't know about this, cause I guess the way I understand it is that, like, the mint extract you get in the stores, like, the extract is, like, preserved in alcohol, maybe? I don't know. It's been so many years, I wouldn't even know where to start with this shit. But when we were kids, basically it was like, oh, you know, if you go to fucking Walmart or whatever, if we can find a way to get to the store, and you always wanted to get a ride because if you were, like, on by foot, you're gonna attract more negative attention, you know, you're gonna more likely to get busted, but you basically find a way to get to the store, you know, if you're going with your mom or you're going with, a friend or whatever the case is, just get to that fucking store. Mint extract is in like the baking aisle, and it was, you know, thankfully we were taller kids, but, it was like on the top shelf of this baking aisle, and it was like $2-3, but we didn't have jobs, we didn't have shit, you know, and obviously we wouldn't want to be spending our money on fucking mint extract anyway, trying to get a buzz. So we'd go in there and we'd try and, you know, fucking, snag some and fucking pocket it, you know, just whatever we could. This was like the motherfucking dope. You know, this was like that shit that we were fiending for, you know, the motherfucking mint extract bottles. So we go and we try and snag this shit, and then you get together, you know, we go back, you know, hit the motherfucking stash, and then we'd have like four snag bottles of mint extract. We'd all be together, and, I mean, goddamn. Holy shit, you have not lived. You did not have a fucking ghetto-ass childhood of trying to fucking chase a goddamn, you know, inebriation if you did not have to fucking find yourself slamming. I could still taste that shit, honestly. I can't remember if we ever, like, watered it down or anything. But I can still remember just that fucking severe strength mint taste just burning down the esophagus with alcohol and everything, just slurping the mint extract. This shit got you a buzz though, because I mean it was basically kind of like a shot of alcohol, you know what I mean? Like it got you a fucking buzz. I don't know if there was anything in like the mint extract itself. I'm pretty sure that it was just the fact that it was like in alcohol. I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong, but I think that's just what it was. And then also the DXM, I think it was, the tablets. Now this was like some shit they would call like robo-tripping or whatever. But there was these things that were like, fuck, I can't remember what they even were. There was something, it wasn't the Robitussin, there was something else, like, some other kind of brand of something where it was just like pure DXM, and it was like these, I can't remember if they were like, they melt in your mouth, or if it was like a spray or something maybe it was like a spray of some kind. I can't fucking remember, because they stopped carrying it eventually at some point. But for a time, there was like this shit that was, because the Robitussin, that had other shit in it that would make you sick. It had like these side effects. but this, whatever it was, like this spray or these little melt in your mouth things, whatever the hell it was just pure DXM. So we'd go and we'd fucking, try and shoplift as much of that as we could until it went, it eventually, can't remember. I think they just stopped making it, or they changed the formula somehow to make it different. But at the time, we were fucking just going crazy on that, taking that. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, yes. But the, one of the major occurrences was one time we went, I don't know if it was on Arrowhead. I can't remember exactly 100% specifically, but we found out essentially how to make hooch. We found out how to, say pruno basically, it's, you take your fucking fruit mash in a bag and you fucking add the sugar and whatever and you burp it every so often. We basically found out how to do this shit. We tried to cover it up and we're like, oh hey, we pooled some fucking money we had together and we're like, not very much, but just whatever few bucks we could each get from our parents. And we went to the store. I remember I was with the dude and his mom and we were at the store because we did it in the dude's basement. Once his mom had moved out of this fucking duplex and she moved into another spot that had a basement, we were doing it in the basement. And we're like, oh, we want some fruit. We're trying to get healthy. We want healthy snacks. So we fucking get this fruit and we get, the shit for whatever. I can't remember if I'm trying to remember. I don't think we stole any of the shit for this one. Because obviously we had to get the yeast. I can't remember what the excuse was for that. But whatever the case was, we made it all happen. We got it all together. We fucking, followed the online guide to make this goddamn pruno. And so we made this pruno. And I remember I was the person who was, when it all finally came together, I was the person who was like designated to test the mixture. Because they're like, well, we don't want to go blind. Mills, you're kind of a worthless fucking retard. So, hey, why don't you taste this? If you go blind, nobody's going to really care. And I was like, yeah, well, I can't argue with that. I was kind of, I was like, whatever, I'm kind of a dweeb. So yeah, fuck it, let's try it. So I tried it out. Of course, it tastes, I honestly thought, I drink bum wine. I've drank that fucking Mad Dog shit. Like, I drink that shit and I don't really have a problem with it. So, I tried it and it was definitely harsh. But I was like, hey, you know what? I've had, I was sitting here fucking slamming little vials of mint extract trying to catch a buzz. So fuck it, whatever. And the other dudes try it. And, there was him, the dude whose basement it was. And I think there was another guy around at the time. But they tried it and they were just like, man, this is disgusting. I don't even care, man. Fuck this shit. I'll go back to stealing my mom's fucking Smirnoff Ices. I don't care if she kicks me out. I'd rather do that than drink this shit. But it was a fucking full batch. It was a full batch. And so what happened then was we had this batch of pruno and I was like, fuck that, man. I want this. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking play around. I don't care. I'm fiending for something to get me fucked up. So I don't care. Give me this shit. I want it. But he's like, it wasn't really a way to move it out of the house. So it was actually funny because it was a school night at the time. And I don't know what the hell I called my mom up and I was like, oh, I want to stay over at the dude's house. It's school tomorrow, but, I was always failing classes, like, since forever, but I made up some bullshit and said that I wasn't failing, or I basically just lied and said some reason why it was okay for me to stay over there, and basically coerced her, and she was like, okay, fine, it's school night, but whatever. And I think I ended up skipping school the next day, because what happened, whatever the case was, we ordered a pizza, which, once again, was very unusual at the time because we never had money. I don't remember how I was able to order this pizza, to be honest. I really don't. I don't know where I got money from, but whatever the case was, I had money to order a fucking pizza, so I did. And so I ordered this pizza, and we had this fucking pruno. The other dudes didn't want to drink it. They were having their fucking Smirnoff Ices, and I'm sitting there just drinking this pruno, getting fucked up, getting trashed, eating pizza, munching down like a motherfucker. We're watching movies. We're chilling. It's like late at night. And, I stayed up way too late. I remember that much. But at the same time, I was so nervous because I was like, oh, I don't want to miss school. So I ended up, getting up and, I was up on time for school and, but I didn't know, I was trying to, maybe I did go to school. I'm trying to remember. I think, I'm trying to remember now. Because I remember bits and pieces of this. I was up, because I was worried I didn't want to miss school, so I was up, and I wanted to find the shit, and I was still wearing, like, my same clothes, as the day before. I smelled bad. You know, I was like sweaty from drinking all night and shit. And I think I was up, but the dude who I had been drinking with, he wanted to skip. But I was like worried I didn't want to skip, so I got up. So maybe this time I didn't, maybe this wasn't the time I skipped. Cause I just remember being up and like trying to find, cause I didn't know where their bus stop was. You know, I didn't know, cause he didn't want to go. So I'm trying to like, dude, I'll go. Where's the bus stop, man? I just don't want to miss school cause I'm worried. I'm freaking out on to miss school. So like, I think this was that time, and maybe I ended up maybe I think I went out and like ran around the block or whatever and found like where people were chilling at. So I might have went to school without just without having any of my shit done, which is pretty usual anyway. So maybe that was a different time I skipped school, because I know for sure when I was in high school I skipped quite a bit. So anyways, that was kind of that was like the younger phase, of me, and it didn't really ever get much better, honestly, moving forward. It was always, just, fucking a pint of fucking Smirnoff vodka whenever we could. And it was always, it was just whatever there was, whatever was the cheapest, whatever would get us fucked up. That's pretty much how it was up until, when I turned 21. Now, when I turned 21, it's kind of a little fast forward here, but moving forward from the kid shit. When I turned 21, I decided that I wanted to be very, very swanky. I wanted to drink, I wanted to be so cool. Of course, I was in college at the time and I didn't have very much money. So, what I would do was I was back browsing Fortune at the time. So I was browsing some of like the CK, the alcohol, if you don't know about CK, there's a lot of alcoholics on there, and I guess a lot of chefs are alcoholics. So I'd go on there and I'd try and like peruse and be like, ooh, what's cool? I wanted to be a cool alcohol drinker. I didn't want to be, I grew up drinking all this fucking shit, this swill, whatever I could to get a little buzz. I was like, I want to try and elevate now. I want to try and be a little bit better. So I started drinking all this craft beer, I remember my 21st birthday, I had this beer brewing, like this micro brew set that I got. There was some kind of like micro brew, like Dr. Beer or some shit like that. I can't even remember exactly. But I had, when I saw that, I was thinking going back to like the days of making the Pruno and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. You could like, if you basically make a beer and you can like add flavor to it or whatever. And so, I don't know. I just wanted to be all cool and knowing all the cool craft beers. I would go to this local liquor store that kind of specialized in craft beers, and I would always be waiting for like the new releases or the seasonal releases, and I would always get that and be like, oh, you're drinking that Budweiser. Oh no, I simply cannot. I have to have my special, my fucking, Voodoo, or I don't know, there's so many, or my Arrogant Bastard, or my Rasputin, Rasputin. That was one that would always come up on the fucking CK threads. If you're drinking like the Rasputin, that was like supposed to be, and I had that. It's a good beer, but it was like, that's, the elegance is just like exuding off of you if you drink this. So I wanted to be so cool and everything. So I was drinking that. But I also wanted to expand my liquor palate as well. So I was, dabbling. As I got a little more money, I was trying to dabble in, different scotch. And not like nothing very expensive still. Most I've ever spent personally on a bottle of scotch is probably like $60 maybe. I think maybe 60 to 70 maybe. How much was there's a fucking, what is it called? Like Booker? I can't remember now. I don't even drink like this anymore, but there was a time when I was like 21, 22 where I was so like trying to be about like alcohol culture. But there was this thing called like Booker or something. It came in like a fucking wood box with like a fucking glass front. You like open it up and like the bottle's in there. I think that was like $65 or $66 maybe. Of course, I kind of stuck. Once I knew that I like that Four Roses whiskey, which I think is like the single barrel. I think that's like $40 to $50 a bottle. That was like my top shelf forever more beyond that, because like I was like, okay, I can drink this. This is good to me, and it's it's expensive enough. I don't need to be spending no motherfucking $100 on a bottle of whiskey. Fuck all that. But I was drinking gin, I was drinking rum, I was drinking motherfucking tequila. I was drinking all this different stuff, you know what I mean? Because I just wanted to, there's still to this day is not any particular liquor that I just swear by, you know what I mean? Like, there just isn't still. Like, I don't know what, the girl who I'm seeing now, she's a big fan of Jameson, because she has some Irish ancestry. And Jameson has always been a popular, from the people the very limited social drinking that I had, after high school and stuff like that, for my little bit of time I had social interaction. Jameson was a fairly popular whiskey on top of that, so, in that time. So, I mean, that's cool. But there's just never been anything for me like that that's like, yes, that is my drink. That is my liquor. And I would encourage you guys to let me know. Obviously I have some stuff. Once I get better, I'm going to have a EggWars where I have a couple drinks. And so I would like, if you guys have any sort of recommendations, I have some stuff to drink right now, but I would really like to know, what do you guys think is like your favorite alcohol? What's your drink that you just, is like, you're always going to get that when you go to the bar, or if you go to the liquor store, you're always keeping a bottle of this in your house somewhere. If it's a big bottle, a small bottle, whatever, that's just your alcohol. I'd really be curious to know, because I still don't feel like I have something like that. You know what I mean? I'm still very kind of an open person, and there's no real signature drink for me. So if you have something like that, I'd be curious to know what you might be thinking, or whatever, something for me to maybe look into sometime. But before we finish up the episode for today, I also wanted to say, with it being September and all, I haven't trick-or-treated since I was 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, I stopped trick-or-treating because my parents would go out with my younger siblings to trick-or-treat, and I would be at home. I opted to start staying home and giving away candy, although it would usually be good for me, because there were some years where it was pretty active and that was okay, but there was a couple years where there wasn't much activity as far as giving out candy, or as far as trick-or-treaters, and I loved that, because I would go, at the time, mid-2000s, I would go and I would boot up Gary's Mod, and I would sit and play Gary's Mod and be like doing all kinds of crazy shit. This wasn't with all the multiplayer stuff that there is nowadays. This was just straight up build. That's all there was, or that's all I did, was just the build on it, and just fucking spawning enemies, spawning NPCs. I was flying around with my fucking physics gun on pieces of metal and shit like that. That was a jam to me. That was a total blast. I was addicted to it. But it was difficult for me to find time to be able to play it, especially because we had this older PC at that time that it would take a while for it to boot up. So it'd be like, I'd be booting up Gary's Mod when my parents were leaving to go bring my siblings, and I'd be able to give out candy and shit, and it would take so much time for it to boot up to be able to play it. So, it all worked out though at the time, but, ever since then, there was me giving out candy and stuff, but it makes me feel interesting, because I've never been to like a Halloween party, you know what I mean? I've never been to a Halloween party in my life. I don't even know, I wouldn't even know where to start, you know what I mean? I've never been invited to like any kind of holiday parties, like Halloween, never been to a Halloween party. Christmas, that's just stuff I do with my family. I've never been to a Christmas party, anything like that. And it kind of just it's just interesting to me, you know what I mean? It's an interesting thing to me, because it's so kind of foreign, I guess, when I guess it really shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Because I just I've never had anybody because if there's like St. Patrick's Day, I can go to the bar and have some green beer. If there's, whatever, I can go out and, and it's an open thing. But like an actual Halloween party as an adult, or even just ever, you know what I mean? I've never been invited to one. I've never been to one, even if I wasn't invited. So that's a very interesting concept to me. Maybe I would hopefully maybe someday before I die, maybe I'll go to a Halloween party, because I'm just curious. I haven't worn a costume. I haven't dressed up or, put in fucking fangs and fake blood or whatever the case might be since, in the last, 14 years. So it would be interesting someday for me to, be able to do that. But in any case, that's pretty much been my liquor stories, my alcohol stories for today. I hope you all had a great day, and I apologize that it's coming out so late. But please do not hesitate. If you have any suggestions on any sort of video topics, please leave it in the description, because I'd love to have some more brainstorming of things for me to talk about in Egg Wars. But until next time, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time.